somebody who enjoys their support, and of course there is a particular, there are those men, I mean, we have kitchen cabinets, and that is known. There are those men that you call the president's men. I mean, and that is not something that...
The governor of Bomet and the governor of Kericho.
Yes, those two. And I do not want to get into more details, but of course the Kipsigis, subset of the Kalenjin, have very many problems with President Ruto. And that is something that we can have a long debate about, of course, even because of their economic activities, which is tea and what have you, and there are so many other things. And nobody doesn't know what Farouk has said about the Kipsigis in the past. And so there are those things, and it is known. And there is also, in Kalenjin politics, there are also two sides. They are pro-Ruto, leaders, and others who are not exactly, pro-Ruto, and let me not mention names. And so the governor of Bomet fits in the pattern. That is what I'm trying to say. Because this is not a Ruto man, and I insist on that. But if you allow me, to just...
I'd asked you a question about the EACC and how effective these dramatic arrests are. How consequential. You've seen so many dramatic arrests by the EACC that really end up not in court, or even in court, that case just fizzles out.
Yes, that's it. What EACC should do is to carry out sufficient, investigation and present a watertight case against any governor that is not to be pilfering, public funds in their counties. But what we are seeing EACC doing is, populist, actions like these dramatic arrests. I don't know whether they are the ones that, I think the police here then also, handcuff a governor, and we make a big deal out of it. If you talk about Wamatangi, the governor of Kiambu, the arrest was so dramatic. I mean, when it went to court, there was almost nothing. So I think it's important that we call out EACC. Let them do professional investigations. Let them not hurry in arresting, suspects. Let them, have a good case in court, well researched on, with good evidence after, thorough research and thorough investigation, so that we can see, because, and I agree with Eddie, as a senator, we want to see people who are, plundering public resources, especially at the county level. And then we also need, especially when it's the governor, we also need to place those officers working at the county, they also need to have individual responsibility. Because I could be a governor, yes, and I think this is something that can be, that has been debated on even in courts of law, where maybe, say, a county executive committee member, for example, engages in corruption, and instead of them being taken, being made to face the consequences of their actions, then it becomes the governor's, it is blamed on the governor. I think it is important to place accusations and to place the responsibility on the individual officers, and let's come to the governor where there is a direct, link to him, between him and the corrupt deals or deal that there could be in a county. Because you cannot keep, the governor, of course, then holds the political responsibility, but the legal responsibility, in my view, should also rest with the particular officer or group of officers who have been able to, who have, engaged in corruption. Okay. And this drama should end. Okay. Let's see people being summoned, taken to court, evidence presented, and let our judges do what they are trained and employed to do.
All right. And of course, the big headline there, Natembea Akaziwa, is a big discussion. You look at least 3 of the cartoons on most of the big papers